Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. Listen, folks, there is something that's really troubling, and I think it has troubled me for some time, and I'm sure it troubles you as well as an African. But the bottom line here is that the continent of Africa in a number of geopolitical circles have decided to lack the will, and this is really troubling. If you cannot make more strategic or internal decisions, then you will be controlled by the Europeans, by the Americans, and the Chinese and the Middle Eastern partners. All of them will control you guys over and over because you cannot make simple decisions of your own. Listen, Africans cannot even travel and move freely within their own continent. And we are talking about the geopolitical challenges facing the region and why the continent keep talking about paternalism, condescending approach. You need some respect in your activities. Then you must make choices that are not just external, but internal. You got to wake up. This nonsense must stop. I think if African citizens cannot travel and move freely within their own continent, why do you expect them to move freely in Europe or the United States? Europeans go across. You can move from Belgium, France, Austria, the Netherlands, Germany, freely with just an ID card. But the Europeans understand this phenomenon of growth and development. But Africans still stuck with this colonial mindset and refuse their brothers and sisters to visit. And more importantly, it takes an African to become a European or an American to travel in Africa freely. I think at some point it's disgusting. Yes. Play this clip and we will join you on the other side.
Wow, it's been a whirlwind of travel the last few weeks. Ghana, US, Canada, Jamaica, the UK, Grenada. And so, having had an invitation to add another country, go and speak at the Love Africa conference organized by Operation Mobilization, I really didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could go. But at the last minute, I felt compelled to go. I felt the Lord will have me go because part of the reason being OM, Operation Mobilization, has been a wonderful partner to the work that I do. So last minute decision.
This nonsense must stop. It's total rubbish. You're being laughed at in a number of areas. We create geopolitical content here. It doesn't end in the geoeconomic or geostrategic issues. It goes into the internal dynamics, what's happening if it's so difficult for that gentleman to figure out himself from his own continent, and he needs to secure a foreign visa or foreign passport, so to point out, or to become a foreign national to move around the region, then there is a problem. I've had similar situations. I've traveled to over 30 countries in the continent of Africa for professional activities. Boy, I have to tell you, it's tough sometimes. The connections are huge. But there is a problem that needs to be solved. Listen, we are talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area. It can't just be on paper. You have to demonstrate this to the global community to see that you are serious in doing business. The business cannot just come from foreign companies or travelers coming to the country in terms of tourism and growth and development. The tourism can also come from the continent of Africa's own nationals and citizens. Do you know how many Americans visit other states in the United States? Do you know how many million Europeans travel to Italy, Greece, Spain, the Netherlands, Belgium, the UK, and they are spending money in between, and they can track these finances? It's helping them to boom their economy. And Africans cannot simply travel, and we're only waiting for Europeans and foreigners to come to Africa because it's easy for them to visit. But Africans cannot travel for tourism within their own continent because it's extensively expensive, so to point out. This is fundamentally wrong. Your strategy for growth and development, if you approach this from a geopolitical angle only, there is going to be a problem. Move people around to change revenue. Move people around to see the benefits. Move people around to increase expenditure. Move people around to engage other societal issues for new opportunities across the continent of Africa. And stop this colonial mindset of borders, control, and unnecessary visa procedures. That's the reason why a recent event in Botswana, where experts basically dived into the issue and saw that this is a major problem that Africa has. Play this clip and we will join you on the other side.
Critical issues concerning travel on the continent took center stage at the 7th Africa Tourism Leadership Forum in Gaborone. While the forum serves as a platform for discussing tourism development and regional collaboration, delegates and industry leaders engaged on the two pressing challenges: the high cost of intra-Africa flights and restrictive visa policies.
The connectivity issue, there are a lot of underlying issues similar to the visa. The biggest culprit, if you buy your ticket, just ask for the breakdown of the ticket and check the tax component of that, and you'll see how much you are paying towards tax, and that may include the airport tax. The key role play, the airlines are running businesses, and if they don't have the numbers, they will not fly the route. And the reason why we have a lot of connectivity issue, because the numbers are not there. So they have to connect from Ghana to Ethiopia to South Africa, Ghana, Ethiopia to Botswana, to be able to fill the plane, to be able to pay the bills.
While Africa is working hard to promote tourism on the continent, the exorbitant costs associated with connectivity often turns potential travelers away.
It could be the cost of running those aviation companies, but also maybe the taxes involved. And that makes the cost of tickets more expensive than tickets going to Europe or other places outside of the continent.
In addition to the cost of flights, visa restrictions also came up for discussion. Many African countries impose stringent visa requirements that hinder seamless travel across the continent for tourists and business professionals alike.
For the travel in Kenya, they remove the visa and they introduce an ETA. Before, some countries did not need a visa. Now they need an ETA. Even so, they're not paying. They have to fill in online, something which is straightforward, quite fast, but people are not aware. And so sometimes it is an issue when they come to Kenya.
Tourism leaders say simplifying visa procedures and fostering agreements for visa-free travel between African nations could unlock tremendous opportunities for the tourism sector.
The visa regime, its hindrance or is it an enabler, particularly for Africa? Is it a hindrance or is it an enabler? And is it about tourism or is it about trade and investment? I think there's a need for a very urgent, robust conversation within Africa about the visa. We know for a fact, for example, in South Africa, that the visa for us is critical, and that's why we're elevating the discussions. But also, we also know that the largest numbers of arrivals coming out of Africa, and particularly Botswana, we now need to go and Ghana and say, can we get corporate Africa to start coming into South Africa? And that's where the money is.
What is really wrong with your decision-making process? What is wrong with your structures? Why can't it be simple to make this strategic move and engage regional organizations? Are there no policy design from the African Union? Do you lack the capacity? Do you need experts? What is it about that? What kind of will do you need? What takes to move the ball rolling? I mean, it's laughable at some point that the basic things to be done becomes even more difficult. And I don't get it because it's so simple. And a number of businessmen that travel from Kenya to South Africa, from Nigeria to South Africa, from Nigeria to Botswana to a number of countries, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, you name it, to Egypt, to Morocco, to a awful lot of other parts across the continent of Africa. I bet you, if you sample their experiences, they will give you a negative experience as a result of lack of travel. It's so expensive to travel the continent than compared to, if you look at the flight ticket from Europe to the United States of America, it's way cheaper as compared to a flight that's just maximum 6.5 hours to most African countries. Because the numbers don't add up. And people cannot travel because the airlines are forced to go on several hops to pick up passengers. It becomes like a taxi or an Uber to pick people from one country, from Kenya, from Zambia, from Tanzania. Have you ever gotten into a flight that you were going to London or traveling to Amsterdam or going to the United States? You will leave one country and go to the main hub, so people come together and then they have to shuttle everybody down to the main destination. There's nothing wrong with that to an extent, but if it's so difficult for an African to travel the region, an African who has businesses, who is planning to invest to develop the nations or develop the continent in a number of areas, to secure a visa to move from one country to secure opportunities in another, then Africa has a problem. It means we are focusing on priorities that are not important. The richest African man or a black man alive, a businessman, can face difficulties in traveling within his own continent. Then the problem has been amplified to an extent where it means the processes and the decision-making area within the region is not working. If Aliko Dangote can find it difficult to travel around the continent of Africa, then you have no argument. Let's play this clip.
Even an hour ago, I complained to President Kagame.
At least you can come here visa-free.
No, here is the best example, but I told him that, yes, as an investor, as somebody who really wants to make Africa great, I have to now apply 35 different visas on my passport. And I told Mr. President, I said, Mr. President, I really don't have the time to go and be dropping my passports in embassies to get a visa. But you see, the most annoying thing is that, yes, if you are treating everybody the same, then I can understand. You know, I can assure you, Patrick doesn't need 35 visas. No, I said that. What I'm saying, you
don't need 35 visas on a French passport compared to a Nigerian passport.
35 visas on French passport.
No.
But, you know, so which means you have a freer movement than myself in Africa.
Yeah. But you have, I remember that there are 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda. You have 1 visa for the free when you are a tourist.
This is true.
I've done it. So it's good. So you can expand it. It's a question of will. But I think all what is moving on about community between Africa, it's up to the African leaders to decide, will be good for Africa.
Yes, but it will change. And what I keep saying, right now, our main job is to make sure the regional markets, they all work. Okay? Once they work, then we can now go to AFCTA. But the AFCTA also, we need to make sure that it works. We cannot have a very, very promising continent, and our intra-trade is less than 16%. Okay, so we Africans will have to do it. If we are waiting for foreigners to come and do it, both the development of Africa, it's not going to happen. So it can only happen by us Africans. We must risk our resources and make sure that we lead. Then we will have people who actually trust and believe in Africa, like Patrick, to come and help us to push to the next level.
It is amazing that we fail to focus on what matters. And a number of countries in the continent are still in this colonial mindset to tighten up borders, not allow people to get into their countries, and you think that is how growth. Development doesn't mean just infrastructure or building new buildings or roads and stuff like that. If the internal operations cannot function more effectively, you can build airports and roads. But if people cannot move and go to those airports, people cannot experience Kenya, they cannot experience Botswana tourism, Africans cannot experience their own continent, then they have no experience about the continent. The notion, the mentality now lies just within the national territory. And this is a major problem that the continent of Africa has at the moment. If you really want to engage Western nations, you want to have strategic move in terms of engaging your geopolitical partners. And you need the respect that you need. You need to engage them from a whole lot of other areas. Then you must start putting your house together with regards to moving your people around. This is so important. There is no quick fix here. You just have to tackle it, get the bull by the horn, get down to business, figure out what's holding you back. Like the gentleman who spoke with Aliko Dangote, the Total CEO, just pointed out, Africa does not have the will. The willpower is not there to get things moving. It is embarrassing, it is shameful, and we need to fix this. Hopefully we've informed you regards to some of the challenges that's affecting the region. Very critical and important if the African continental free trade should be what we think, which is at the moment at the implementation phase. I think the rapid movement of people within the continent of Africa, scraping out the borders, scraping out this unnecessary visa requirement, will go a long way enabling the continent to engage and become even more competitive. I want to thank you for watching. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think with regards to this particular travel and engagement within the region. And if you, as an expert, a businessman from abroad or from any part across the continent, has experienced difficulties while moving around the continent of Africa, we want to thank you for watching. We are looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.